Welcome back to the 8th concession. My name is Natalie. It's August already. I can't believe how fast the gardening season is going. It always goes way too fast. But it's time for another garden tour. As I've mentioned before, I've been away a lot of July. My oldest son and his wife had a second baby, so I went down to their house. They live about 2 hours away from here, to help them out with their first daughter, my granddaughter, while they were in the hospital. And then because the baby came quite a bit early, I had to go back and forth quite a bit to help them out, which I loved, of course. But it did mean that for a lot of July and the beginning of August, the garden was totally neglected. So today we're going to go have a look at what it's been doing in my absence and just have a look at the good, the bad, and the ugly. But before we go into the garden, I want to show you something that really delights me greatly. Now, typically I plant morning glories up and over my garden gate and cosmos on either side just because they're pretty. This year, of course, I couldn't because I had my new garden gate put in, which I'm just loving. But look at what has happened here. A little morning glory seeded itself. It's a beautiful purple color, and you just have to marvel at the tenacity of nature. But it made me very happy that when I couldn't plant the morning glories around my gate, one planted itself. Let's go in and see what is going on here. We'll start over here on bed number 4. Now, some things I just love, and one is the zinnias here. Just look at that. The colors are gorgeous. What's hiding back here? Pretty orange one. So the zinnias are bringing in pollinators and just some beauty. And then up and over the trellis are my scarlet runner beans, which you can see some of them are actually salmon colored, which I think is so cool. The trellis is doing great, but you might notice that not all of that is scarlet runner beans. I also planted loofahs and one single plant of birdhouse gourd. And this is what's going on from one plant. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 birdhouse gourds growing that I can see. Oh goodness, there's one up there, 6. So the birdhouse gourds are doing great. Now there are some loofah plants. You can see the yellow flowers here. Those are the loofah flowers. I do not know if there are any loofahs. I usually find them at the end of the year, not realizing that they had actually grown. Let's check this side. I have a loofah flower down there. Well, we'll find out at the end of the year. I'm not going to dig around too much. Let's go around this bed. Now here at the front, looks a bit of a mess. Tomatoes, blight. Ugh, such a disappointment. However, these are the Tidy Treat tomatoes, and you can see that despite the blight, we have a lot of wonderful, beautiful, they're lovely and sweet. So, sorry, I was just trying that one, it was really good. So not a loss. I mean, the plants look ugly, but we have lots of cherry tomatoes, so I'm okay with that. And you can see they've kind of cascaded over the edge. And the new growth at the top is still providing the plant with, food and energy. So we have a nice crop despite the ugly look of them. Beside them we have a dark brown mass. These are the sweet peas, which were one of the casualties of my leaving for several weeks, and that's I didn't get to pick off the last bit of peas, so we have them drying in the pod. So they look lovely. So I'm just going to actually collect them for seed for next year and pull them out shortly. Back here are my cup of Moldova plum tomatoes. Now these ones are the important ones because I make tomato sauce out of them. And yes, more blight everywhere. But however, look, we've got a lovely crop of tomatoes coming. And again, at the top of the plants, we have some good healthy growth to give the plant what it needs to finish ripening out these plum tomatoes. And I do like the cup of Moldova because they are so prolific. Like, that's a lot of tomatoes on there. If they can ripen without getting any sort of, disease on them, I will have plenty of sauce tomatoes. So fingers crossed that they can ripen before the plants completely give up the ghost. Back here were 2 zucchinis. You can see there's definitely 1 zucchini, but it looks like down here that the yellow zucchini just lost its will to live, especially with its neighbor here, which is taking over everything. We have a few determined reeds trying to grow through there. I'll pull them out in a second. But you can see this is the Romanesco zucchini, and it is still doing well. Oh, I should say that the carrots were another casualty here. I had planted a few seeds along the side here. I can see 1 there, but certainly not a crop of carrots by any stretch of the imagination. Just 1 or 2 for snacking, I guess. Oh, we have a little visitor. Hello, little froggy. On this side of bed number 4, I had planted some parsnips beside the tomatoes. I think there might be 1 right there. That's about it. And this is the other half of that zucchini plant trying to take over the world. Over here, wow, I don't have to say much about this, do I? It's pretty disappointing. The green that you see here is not the silver fir. This is Matt's wild cherry tomato just going wild. The silver fir have a little bit of plant in them. They've pretty much given up the ghost. I have managed to have a few of the tomatoes from them, so I did get a few, but it's surprising to me that these plants back here, which were the Peron sprayless that I transplanted, they had self-seeded in the other bed, that they're actually doing better than the silver fir, seeing as they were so decimated by blight last year. There is still blight, but their tomatoes look bigger and better, and the plant certainly has a lot more good growth on top to keep it alive. So I think I might be trying the Peron sprayless again next year. Certainly not the silver fir. And the Matt's wild cherry tomato is going wild. But I haven't had any cherry tomatoes off it yet. I shouldn't say that. Look at that. Just to prove me wrong, there are some ripe ones right in there. I'll pick them a little later. I'll come down and do a harvest. I should mention the Matt's wild cherry tomato on this side is also doing well. It's right there. They look so messy. So this is bed number 3. Again, some pretty pink zinnias here on the corner. Oh, they just make me so happy. Then we have, what do we have? I think this is a loofah that has just decided to go wandering. It's supposed to be climbing up, but it's climbing down. Well, I'm not going to try and move it now. And these tomatoes at the front here also looking quite a mess, falling over because they are quite large. I did have tomato cages, but certainly not strong enough. These are the Mountain Magic. They're a cocktail-sized tomato. I saved the seeds myself, knowing that they weren't necessarily not cross-pollinated, and by the look of them, they were in fact cross-pollinated because they have a very elongated look, as if they crossed with the cup of Moldova. That doesn't mean you can't eat the tomatoes, and you can see some are ripe in here, but they're not the cocktail size, so I won't try and save any seed. But they do have quite a few tomatoes on them, although they, again, are just falling over. Bed number 2 is doing fine. Now, if you remember, I took all the beets out of here and I got, I think, 9 pints of beets, which is plenty for us, and exactly what I wanted, and they were a success. Oh, I missed a couple in there, I can see. And right on the edge, for the first time, I have been successful planting some celery root, celeriac. So it's related to celery, but it's not quite the same. What you want is a nice bulb. Oh, here's a good view. This bulb is what I use for soups. It is so tasty. And this is the first time I managed to get these seeds to grow. So only 2, but you know what? I'll take it. And the rest of this bed are my peppers, which have finally decided to take off and grow. They are a bit behind. I mean, some of them are just setting flowers now, which makes me nervous, but it is still August. And if the heat comes back, there will be plenty of time for them to set fruit. Now, we have had a couple of sweet peppers off them. Oh, what have we got in here? We do have some Hungarian hot wax growing in there. That's okay. I don't even remember what I planted where. Oh, what have we got in here? Oh. These also look like Hungarian hot wax down in there. I did move some around, so it's going to be a mystery pepper search. Back here is a marigold that I grew from seed. It is a giant marigold, as you can see. It is giant, but it helps keep out some of the pests. They don't like the smell of marigolds, but they're still pretty orange. But yeah, it kind of got a little out of control as well. It's growing into my peppers here. Whoops, I just broke that. Interestingly, I just noticed it actually is growing roots along its stem. So if that touches the ground, I guess that's how it maintains its size. So this poor royal black here doesn't have much room around the marigold. I don't see any flowers on it. Whoops. Oh, there's one royal black pepper trying to make a run for it. And this royal black pepper right here isn't doing anything at all. Some lovely pink zinnias on the corner. I'm going to have to rethink the giant marigold next year because I think it's just encroaching too much on the plants trying to grow there. What have we got in peppers here? I don't even know what kind these are. Oh, now I do. These are the jalapeno. And I've got 1 or 2. This plant here, the one that was bigger than the rest, we've actually already taken a couple of yellow sweet peppers off of and had them. Oh, and there's a green sweet pepper. So the peppers are in there, they're just hiding a little bit. We'll give them a little more time. The cucumbers, again, the problem with cucumbers is once you allow one cucumber to become fully ripe so that its seeds are mature inside, the plant will die because it thinks its job is done and I'm out of here. And I think that's what's been happening here. Now I do still have one strand that's trying to grow. But I did manage to get enough cucumbers off before I went away to make sweet pickles. So at least I have that. But I did come back to some very large ripe ones, and I think that's why my cucumbers are dying. Beautiful orange zinnias up here. And then the scarlet runner beans going up and over the trellis. I still have not harvested my leeks. They are overdue. I'm a little worried I'm going to find a lot of pest damage. I just haven't had a chance to pull them. They're next on the list to be harvested. They are also over here in bed number 1. We have some pinks on the corner, the parsley that's self-seeded, the dill that's self-seeded, and the leeks here that are looking very sad, and the cucumbers, which are also fairly sad. They're still climbing a little bit, but I think my cucumber days are over. Oh, there's a couple right here. They don't look too bad. The leeks, which have to come out shortly. And then this gorgeous zinnia back here, which is one plant, but look, it has a bunch of different colors in it, which I think is amazing. So I'm going to save seeds from this one. The only problem is it has fallen over. It got so large and heavy, so I have to look into doing something to keep it upright. But oh, it is just gorgeous. I'm going to walk around the other side to show the other side of bed number 1. I always keep forgetting to mention that I planted a couple of onions for seed. You can see one has gone to flower. I'll be able to collect seed here, but because the parsley and dill just kind of took over here, the other onion that I planted for seed seems to have withered away. So I've only got this one, but I still have onion seed from last year. I'm okay, but I'm going to have to take more care next year to make sure that they're not crowded out by the parsley and the dill. The dill here is going to seed as well. That's okay, I'll collect that for next year. It's like a jungle of dill. Now this is the funniest thing. I did not plant this, I did plant this cabbage, but this cabbage was eaten right down to the nub by, I don't know, rabbits, voles. And so I, gave up on it. I harvested the rest. I took the netting off. And this one has grown back. Now, because it wasn't covered, there's bug damage on it. But I'm going to grab that head and make a little coleslaw. And here are 2 more that decided to come back. I'm not sure they're going to have enough time to form heads, but it's just the resilience of plants is amazing. Some more leeks here that have to be pulled out. And then this here was in amongst the onions, which have been harvested. And this is called a midget melon. It's a small cantaloupe type. Now, it's looking a little worse for wear here, but there are a lot of flowers. I'm still hopeful if we have a long, warm fall that it will do okay. Oh, and then under this zinnia is my watermelon. Let's see if I can move the zinnia. There's the watermelon. Few flowers, not looking too robust. I'll lay the zinnias over here more. And bed number 4, which is affectionately called the jungle. I can't even really get back here. It has gone crazy. That's what happens when you plant pumpkins in a raised bed. There are some more weeds that I'd like, but, and a couple of pumpkin leaves up there. That might be squash bugs. I don't know. Again, these were left to their own devices, and we'll just see what we get. Actually, I can see something in here already. Now, these have jumped out of the bed, which is fine, but I can see a nice big pumpkin back there. So there's one. The pumpkin has gone along here. There might be another one hiding there for all I know. Oh, I see something fun though. Down here again, outside of the bed, a white pumpkin. So the white pumpkin was on the left. I have at least one anyway. I don't know if I have any more. It's hard to walk down here. So these are the kidney beans. They've got a lot of beans down in there. I'm sure once they ripen, I'll get a good harvest off. Maybe I can get back here then. And these here are the white Polish beans for making baked beans. Again, I can barely get there, but I see a lot of beans, so they're doing great. More pumpkins that have escaped. I don't know that I can even get by them. I don't even know what I'll find back here. There were 2 zucchini at the back, but I think I think they've been overrun by the pumpkins. Well, that's okay. We've had quite a bit of zucchini. Are there any pumpkins in here? Oh, actually, I see some orange peeking through. There's a nice big one back in there. Well, 3 pumpkins anyway. Are there any more than that? Who knows? It will be a mystery pumpkin tour in the fall. Look at this sea of weeds. Isn't that crazy? I do like these orange ones. These are jewel weed. Aren't they pretty? I did mean to press some flowers this year, so I better do that quickly, especially if I want some jewel weed. And then these in here, if you can even see them, are the potato bags because, oh, there's a little bee working away. So the potatoes did not get the extra soil put on them like I planned to. So I can see I have a little bit of sun scald going on there, so I won't be able to use those potatoes at the top. That is entirely my fault for not getting back down here to add soil to those bags. But, you know, I have to just give myself a little bit of a pass this year. It was an unusual gardening year with me being away for so much of it. So that's it, the neglected garden in August. It is amazing to me though that even with no input from the gardener, a gardener who's MIA for most of a month, that the garden still is doing so well. I'm going to get a crop of tomatoes off. I don't know how big it will be, but it looks promising. There are some pumpkins hiding back there. The beans look fantastic. They just need more time. The peppers are coming along. They're hiding there, but there is still time for them to finish. I've already harvested the pickles. I've harvested the beets. I've had a lot of zucchini already. The peas, I had some before I had to go away. So really, all in all, for the fact that it doesn't look that great, it's been a fairly productive gardening. Oh, and the onions and the garlic. Yeah, I've got a good crop of them as well. So I can't really complain. I would like it to look neater. I would like to solve the blight problem, but that is a problem for next year. For this year, I'm going to harvest what I can as the weeks go on and be really grateful for what I'm getting out of this beautiful garden. Hope your garden's coming along too. Bye for now.